Hello, how you doing? Peace, goodwill to all men. This is your boy Stone Thug, comedian, actor, poet, and this is part two. This video is part two of a great story. And I think what I'd like to do is I have some really fantastic type situations that I've been in my life, and I contribute them to higher power of making it through these events. And I like to share some of these with you and possibly to some of the people who follow you guys' channels. If you want to pass the stories along, maybe they might be enlightenment or encouragement to somebody, but they most certainly encourage me. I lived through them. And I think everybody have, stories to tell. These happen to be mine. And I think they're interesting. So once again, this is your boy Stone Thug, comedian, actor, writer, filmmaker, independent filmmaker. Worked in some union stuff, but I like doing my own little independent projects. Nevertheless, this story again is part two of a wonderful story. Well, if you recall in part one, and I encourage you to go watch part one just by hitting my main channel and going to a great story, part one, I was talking about the Wizard of Oz and how in the movie, the fictional version of the Wizard of Oz, the girl Dorothy and her dog Toto got swept up in a tornado. And this tornado was, of course, make-believe because that was for Hollywood. But my story is that I was swept up in a tornado myself, me and my dad. I had a dog named Cindy, but she wasn't there. Basically what happened is we went fishing back in Michigan. It was either Lake St. Clair or one of the other Great Lakes. I'm not sure which one. St. Clair jumps in my mind. I was pretty young at the time. I was about 14. So, and dog years, just a year ago. No, it was a long time ago. Anyway, I was 14 years old. And we were fishing out here on the lake, and we've been fishing all day. Lake Supreme or Lake St. Clair, I can't remember which one. But anyway, we were fishing all day, and I had been the big fish catcher that day. I destroyed my dad when it came to fishing. I beat him. We used to have these contests, see who's going to catch the most fish. And it was just me and him out there. We had a boat. It looked like it was about a 14-footer. So we had been fishing out there and everything, and we had taken this boat probably further than you should take, like a little power motor boat out on the Great Lakes, because I don't know if you folks know that the Great Lakes are, they're like small oceans. They are truly, truly great lakes. They are big. Matter of fact, the Great Lakes, you can spot them like if you were on the moon, literally on the moon, 250,000 miles away. You can look and you can spot where Michigan is, because Michigan is the shape of a globe. And you got one Great Lake here and a Great Lake there. That's how huge they are. So you're talking about a great distance across. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like 400 miles from just one side of the one Great Lake to the other. So that's it's a long ways. Anyway, nevertheless, we had taken this boat out, and we had been going just straight out because we wanted to get the big fish. And we were so far off land that you couldn't see the land where we went out. So it was kind of dumb, because we out here in this boat, which was literally a rowboat that happened to have a motor on it. The waves were bigger than the boat. So we were out there, and we had been fishing all day, like I said, and we had gotten sleepy. So we started to get sleepy, and I, went to sleep. My dad went to sleep on the boat, which, I guess people can do. So we sleeping out on this boat and everything, and what happened was I felt something grab me by both of my shoulders and shake me, physically shook me, like it was a person. It's like, wake up. So I didn't know if it was my dad or who it was. I just know that something from the outside shook me to the point where I woke up. And when I woke up, I looked around. I didn't see anybody. All I saw was my dad on the other side of the end of the boat sleeping. So I don't know what that's all about. And I didn't ask. I just, it was weird. But we all had dreams like that where something strange happened in a dream and then we woke up and, like that. So I didn't think a whole lot of it at the time. It was a perfectly beautiful, beautiful day out in the water. Wasn't a cloud in the sky. Just fabulous. So what happened was a few moments later, while I was checking our lines to see if we had some fish or something on the line while we were sleeping, this gigantic yacht came by. It was 3 levels high. And was filled with upper end, high end, rich folks. For Michigan, that would have been mostly white folks. I didn't see any brothers on the boat. But anyway, the boat passed by us. And we were like an ant passing next to an elephant. That's how big the boat was. It didn't get so close to us that we got sucked up in the, any of the pull away. But the point was, this boat was huge. It must have been 100-footer. I mean, maybe even bigger than that. I don't know. It was huge. Like I said, it was 3 levels high, and I wouldn't be surprised. I know the boat could hold. Thinking now that I know a little bit more about boats now, that boat could easily hold 500 people. That's how big it was. I mean, I'm talking about comfortably. I'm not talking about 500 pack to pack. If they were packed all together, it could easily hold 1,000. So, nevertheless, I saw this boat pass by, and there was a couple of girls, cute little, white girls, and they were in the back of the boat, and they had bikinis on and everything. It was one of those typical, like, rich folks parties, And I started waving at them. I'm like, hey, how you doing? Because I'm a city guy. So I thought, it'd just be cool to wave at them. But they looked at me kind of strange, and they wasn't doing that much waving. So first thing I thought, what most black folks think, they come to white folks not smiling at them or trying to engage them, hey, they ain't cool, they ain't down with the brothers. So for whatever reason, it didn't bother me. I wasn't really used to a lot of that because I was brought up in a middle class family. I had, white folks and stuff around me, rich folks, whatever, all around me all the time. So it wasn't no big deal that they didn't respond. I just thought it would have been cool. I'm out here like they are in a boat. I thought we had something relatable type situation. Here I am a kid. I'm only 14. I'm waving. I thought it wasn't much to ask for them to wave, but nevertheless, they didn't wave, and I did. So I was happy. They looked at me strange, just serious look like, So anyway, I'm out here fishing, and I checking my lines and everything. But what I noticed after a little while, that gigantic boat, that gigantic yacht, as big and massive as it was, it looked like it made a turn. Now it took a good 15, 20 minutes before it could turn all the way around. That's how big it was. But they came all the way back to me. Now, I didn't know really what it was all about, but they did it. And only God in heaven knows what it must have taken for them to turn that boat around. But these folks, they turned it around. And they came back just for me. And when they came back, they got close to our little boat. And they hollered at me and said to me, "Get your ass out of this water. There's a storm coming. There's a storm coming. Get back to shore. Get back to shore. They were like, man, you got to get back to shore." And I said, "Storm coming?" They're like, "Yeah, it's a storm. Get back." They all hollering at me. "Get back. You got to get back. You got to get back." You know how white folks can talk when they upset. White folks don't really, we not really used to seeing, black folks known for being the emotional ones. But white folks, they were, "Get that. You better get it." They were calling me everything. They didn't call me the N-word, though. But they were, "Get back. Get your ass back. Get back, kid. You better head for shore." Now, to be honest with you, We had drifted so far away, we couldn't even see shore. We don't know where shore. We had gone to the ends of the earth. We were some black guys that were way out of our territory. But they told us to get back to shore, so I said, okay, yeah, right, whatever. You turn this big ass boat around and you want us to go back to shore, so, we're going to head back. So what happened was I woke my dad up and I said, Dad, we got to get up. These people came by and they said there was a storm coming and, the storm was coming, blah, 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 blah. And my dad got up and he looked around. It wasn't a cloud in the sky. And he like, what happened? Because he didn't see him. He didn't know, So he said, well, if they said a storm was coming, they know these waters better than we do. So since we're land dwellers, city guys, we're thinking, okay, a storm coming. You can spot a storm. I mean, storm takes a long time to get to you normally. But we decided that we would head in because they said there was a storm coming. So we headed in. It must have taken about an hour almost for us to get to shore. But we went as close as to where you could see shore. And then we got, let's say, within a city block up shore. So then about a half a block from the shore. So we're half a block. We're a stone's throw from shore. And we didn't see no clouds or nothing. So we decided, hey, you know what? They said a storm was coming. Maybe they meant, a storm might come. Maybe they meant a storm is coming later. But right now there's no storm. We didn't pay all this money for this boat. Let's try to we mutually agreed, let's try to do a little fishing from here where we are. And if it starts to look kind of funny, what we'll do is we will just go into shore. We figured they knew what they were talking about, but, the clouds are perfectly clear. I mean, what you going to do, So, besides, my dad wanted to catch up with me. I had all the fish. I wanted to see how the fishing was in this new area we were too, so we started fishing. Around along that time, I noticed in the back of where I was looking, well, I noticed on the side, first of all, I noticed that they had this thing which I had recently learned was called a wave breaker. And a wave breaker was basically, they had these houses that were about, 3 blocks, city blocks away or half a mile on the right side of me. I noticed that these rocks had formed a little cape or whatever that came out in front of the houses on the other side of the water. And that's called a wave breaker. And it's basically these sharp, pointy, big, gigantic slabs of concrete. It looked like they pulled up from the city or something and they just dumped them in the water. But to make an artificial, rocky sort of pier that went out in the water. And it was about a half a mile away. You could barely see it, but the rocks were huge. One slab was about the size of your bed, and it had hundreds of them. But you can just see them off to the distance. And I just happened to notice them. And they were wave breakers. So when the waves came rushing in, what happened is those rocks would bust up the waves from getting to the houses, kind of slow them down a little bit. So I just caught it side of my eye. On this side of my head, the back of my head, I noticed that they had some dark, strange-looking type clouds forming. And these clouds, I had never seen clouds like this in my life. They were so strange that I looked at these clouds like the guys looked when they saw the monsters coming out of the movie, The Ark of the Covenant, the movie Raiders of the Lost Ark. If you recall that movie, when they first opened it up, these spirits of things started coming out of it. And the guys were not supposed to be looking at these ghostly figures because they couldn't look away. So Harrison Ford in the movie, if you recall, if you've seen the movie, Raiders of the Lost Ark, the first one, he told the girl he was with, don't look at it. And I don't know why he knew that, but he told the girl not to look at it. It was kind of something like that with me. It was real freakish and ghoulish. The clouds look like the braids that you see on a black girl's hair, on a young black girl's hair. They were perfectly even and woven together, these clouds. And they were pitch black. And the problem was when you looked at it, you've never seen nothing like it. Imagine a black spaceship next to another black spaceship and another spaceship real close together, like forming a line. But you had hundreds of them, and they all pitch black, coming across the sky. It looked like a quilt or something. You couldn't, you've never seen nothing like it before, so you couldn't take your eyes off of it, which is part of the problem. Because you didn't know what was really about to happen. You just saw these clouds coming, and so you might be thinking, oh, you wouldn't have never allowed nothing like that to happen. As soon as you saw the cloud, you'd have got your boat and went inside and everything. These clouds wasn't like rain clouds or nothing. They didn't look nothing like no clouds you ever seen. They wasn't white. They wasn't spaced out. They were tightly together, beautiful looking clouds. And these clouds didn't take like normal cloud time. Like, a cloud could be here and 5 minutes later it's there and 5 minutes later it's here. No, it was not like that. These clouds were like 1 minute they were there, 2 minutes they were halfway in the sky, 4 minutes they completely covered the complete sky. So when I saw the clouds, before we can even look down or figure out what was what, I looked off behind the clouds. Before we can make any decision about anything, I just saw the clouds, and the clouds were moving almost this quickly. I mean, it was incredibly fast. I said 4 minutes, but literally, maybe it was 2.5 minutes. Yeah, maybe about 3 minutes. What happened was when I looked back where the clouds started from, all I saw was this wall. This scary ass monstrous wall of air that I've never seen before. Dust, air. It must have been moving, going upwards. If you remember the movie The Ten Commandments, you remember how when in the movie Moses parted the waters and how the waters looked when they were kind of cascading up from each other on both sides. It kind of looked like that, but it wasn't water. It was kind of transparent a little bit, but it was cloudy. You couldn't really see through it, but it wasn't water all per se. And it was cascading up, but not like at lightning speed or nothing. It was going up where you can literally kind of see it. But the wall itself must have been about 40 feet high, maybe 60 feet. Just a wall rushing, coming at you. Like in some windstorm over in Iraq or something. If you were over in Arabia and you were caught in one of those sandstorms. It looked like something like that, but not smoky like a sandstorm. Because a sandstorm comes at you, it kind of invokes. This was like a sandstorm on crack. It was like spinning. And it was maybe, like I said, 4 stories high and maybe 2 city blocks across. So we didn't know where to run or nothing. As soon as I saw it, all I had time to do with my dad is to say, "Dad, look!" Now this video is getting kind of long, so I think I'm going to cut it off at this point and finish up in a part 3. So I apologize for that, but I want everybody to get all of this. But anyway, this is your boy Stone Thug. We're going to finish up what happened part 3. That's a great story, and trust me, it is. Come back, watch my other videos, watch part 1. This is Stone Thug, and trust me, it's a fascinating story. Alright, peace. Stone Thug.